headlines. The government is allocating $46.4 million for tourism development in the country. Solomon Islands has highlighted its support for finance initiatives and pledges at the UN CCD COP16, which is now underway in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And a company in Canada has been granted an import license for the import of fruits and vegetables from Solomon Islands. Hello, you're watching SIBC's TV News Bulletin. I'm Andrea Mahanwa. The national government will be allocating a total of $46.4 million to develop the country's tourism sector. Minister of Finance and Treasury, Honorable Manasseh Sogavare, announced this in Parliament today. Sogavare said the huge increase, which is a 364% increase from previous budgets, will go towards tourism operators, youth entrepreneurs, and other tourism development facilities.
Sir, under tourism development, Mr. Speaker, the government, for the first time, sir, is allocating a total of $46.4 million, a massive 364% increase from previous budgets, Mr. Speaker, which include $18 million, sir, to support tourism operators, youth entrepreneurs, and other tourism development facilities. $2.4 million toward the development of national tourism program, which include the Bloody Ridge National Peace Park projects and other products, and $8 million to develop national cultural heritage and tourism infrastructure program, Mr. Speaker. Moving forward, of course, the government fully appreciates, sir, that the successful development of this sector, the tourism sector, must involve the full participation of the private sector operating in an environment that is attractive, Mr. Speaker.
Solomon Islands has highlighted its support for finance initiatives and pledges at the UN CCD COP16, which is now underway in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The COP16 is stated to be the largest UN land conference to date and the first UN CCD COP held in the Middle East and North Africa region, which is focused on the impacts of desertification, land degradation, and drought. SIBC reporter Sharon Anau, who is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the conference, files this story.
Solomon Islands welcomes financing efforts and commitments from parties to the United Nations Convention to combat desertification at the UNCCD COP16. Minister of Agriculture and Livestock, Honorable Franklin Drerick-Wasi, made the statement when delivering Solomon Islands' position on the UNCCD COP16 finance meeting. Mr. Wasi calls for more support and focus to the Pacific Small Islands developing states.
Solomon Islands welcomes the new funding opportunities and mechanisms proposed by the COP and further encourage closer synergies among the different UN financing mechanisms, a strong public-private partnership, and a reform to the processes for accessing these finances. We acknowledge the launching of the Riyadh Global Drought Resilience Partnership and pledges for funding by various actors. We further welcome the launching of the 3 reports on finance gaps and opportunities, the UNCCD Financial Needs Assessment, the Economics of Drought Report, and the Sustainable Financing Modality for Dryland Report. We further note that the recommendation therein and urge all parties and all stakeholders to prioritize implementation of these recommendations and mobilize resources for the small island developing states, including Solomon Islands, to implement sustainable land management systems and restoration. Acknowledging our smallness, we insist that there is no country that is too small, nor too big to escape the negative impacts of drought on the lives of our people. I therefore call on for more focus and support to the Pacific Island developing states, with creation of new funding mechanisms to strengthen South-South cooperation, provision of sufficient technical and financial support, and develop national preparedness and responsive plans. Early warning systems, capacity mapping, monitoring and reporting, and implementable projects on transformative agri-food systems aligning to other related global efforts under the UNFCCC and UNFCBD.
Meanwhile, Permanent Secretary Dr. Samson Viulu said limited financing and technical resources is an ongoing challenge for the Solomon Islands to meet its UNCCD obligations. He said despite the availability of funds, accessing these funds remains a challenge.
For emphasize the need for reform on accessing financial assistance from this international conventions is that we do not have the technical capacity and human resources for accessing these financial tools, and so often what the criteria and requirements for this financial funding assistance or these financial modalities may require very strict criteria, and in Solomon Islands you may really find them difficult too much for accessing. So I think there is a strong need now for these international bodies for try and make it a bit easier for small island developing states for accessing these fundings in consideration na local capacity limitations.
Sharon Nanal for Sibc TV from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
A company in Canada has been granted an import license for the import of fruits and vegetables from Solomon Islands. Eliza Kukutu has more.
A company in Canada has been granted an import license for the import of fruits and vegetables from Solomon Islands. Chairman of the Canadian International Training and Education Corp CITREC program and Solomon Islands Honorary Consul to Canada, His Excellency Ashwan Dwivedi confirmed this to SIBC News recently. He said some constituencies have already shown their interest towards this initiative.
So a Canadian company has been issued an import license for fruits and vegetables. So now the market is open for Canada. And East Central Guadalcanal constituency has expressed its interest to be part of it. A few years ago, we had discussions with East Area constituency. The commitment from the Member of Parliament, Honorable Peter Canloria Jr. We went to great heights to do things. Unfortunately, COVID came in, and that actually put a hold. And then we are now revisiting the idea of export opportunities from Solomon Islands into Canada. And this license means that you can export fresh fruits and vegetables into Canadian market.
Dwivedi adds he will be working with the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock to facilitate the export of products to the Canadian market.
We have identified a buyer. We're just waiting for some regulatory things that needs to be sorted out. I will then write to Ministry of Agriculture back in Honiara, asking them for their input, because the Canadian description of goods exported and the requirements are very lenient. At the same time, I think we have our reputation to protect the Solomon Islands. So I'll work with with Ministry of Agriculture, and we will then identify an actual protocol that would be adapted to export into the Canadian market. Let me tell you, it's not tough. It's not difficult. When you look at the Canadian import license for importation, it's very Solomon Island friendly. It's a great opportunity for the Solomon Islands. I think it's a big market. It's a vast market. Entering into the Canadian market also gives us opportunity to re-export into the United States. And I think there's an opportunity for us to collaborate and think about how we're going to utilize.
Eliza Kukutu for Sibc TV.
Promoting sustainable development was the focus of Japan's assistance during Ambassador Yoshiaki Miwa's term in office. After serving almost 3 years as Japan's ambassador to Solomon Islands, His Excellency Miwa's term is soon coming to an end.
Oh, I was not surprised because we know already that the term is approximately 3 years. And I have been here 2 years and 8 months. So I was expecting that such official instruction will come soon or later.
In an exclusive interview with SIBC News, Miwa says that Japan has assisted through its grassroots project and supported building research capacity in the country.
What we did is a sustainable development of the Solomon Islands. And another target is the empowerment of the rural area. so that people can improve their lifestyles and they can get more opportunity to get cash income. For example, establishing the research center in Sinu, we donated around $3.5 million to establish the research center for fishery in Sinu.
Japan is one of the country's long-standing partners, having established diplomatic relations on July 7, 1978, the date Solomon Islands became an independent nation. Miwa emphasizes both countries have developed a positive relationship, which has the potential to grow further in the future.
I think our relationship over 4 decades is very excellent. One very symbolic episode that I want to introduce is your first Prime Minister, Honorable Peter Kenny-Lorea, visited as a representative of the Solomon Islands to the United Nations. And at that time, then Foreign Minister Sonobe, in his speech, welcomed Solomon Islands as a friend in the Pacific. And after that, our relationship is cordial, not only these kind of the grassroots or these kind of donor countries, these kind of issues, but we cooperated in different areas. We have developed the friendship and good relationship with Solomon Islands. We can develop furthermore.
The International Court of Justice, ICJ, is expected to hear from over 100 countries and organizations for the next 2 weeks in The Hague, Netherlands. This comes after the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution requesting the ICJ to provide an advisory opinion on the obligations of states to protect the rights of individuals against the impacts of climate change. This is to clarify legal consequences of climate change, noting the urgency of the threat and the need for accelerated global action and implementation of the Paris Agreement. Youth-led organization, the Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change, has been instrumental in the push for an advisory opinion from the ICJ. Speaking on the first day of hearings, President of the Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change, Cynthia Ho'Nyuhi, explained that climate change undermines her people's sacred duty to protect the environment.
For my people, our land, Mako, is the most precious. Land is our mother, a living, timeless plane where generations past, present, and future converge, interconnected, and sustained in an unbroken cycle of life. It is upon our land that our values and principles are rooted, preserved, and transmitted across generations. My people understand the continuous duty of past and present generations to protect the environment for the future generations. Kiramo. It is the adherence to this duty that enabled my people to live and thrive in harmony with our environment. This duty, arata inoni o anaha, is our understanding of the legal principle of intergenerational equity.
She also stressed the importance of the ICJ's legal advisory opinion on the issue.
Climate change is undermining our ability to uphold this sacred contract. My people's land of Whanalei is nearing a critical point on the verge of being completely engulfed by the rising seas. Without our land, our bodies and memories are severed from the fundamental relationship that defined who we are. Those who stand to lose are the future generations. Their future is uncertain, reliant upon the decision-making of a handful of large emitting states which, as my colleagues explained, are responsible for climate change. These states have not only enabled, but proactively encouraged the production and consumption of fossil fuels and continue to do so today. When the Paris Agreement was concluded, the youth of the world looked up to it as an instrument of hope. Today, the entire COP process has been hijacked by large emitters and major fossil fuel producers turning it into a polluter-safe harbor and a trap for everyone else. For my people and for the world's youth and future generation, the consequences are existential. As judges of the World Court, you possess the power to renew the power to help us course correct and renew hope in humanity's ability to address the greatest challenge of our time.
Chair of the Public Accounts Committee, Honorable Gordon Dasililo, has raised the need to recruit qualified accountants within the public service. Lilo made the statement following concerns on the lack of quality audits produced by the ministry to the Auditor General's office. Eliza Kukutu reports.
Chair of the Public Accounts Committee, Honorable Gordon Dasililo, has emphasized on the need to recruit qualified accountants within the public service. Speaking during the hearings into the 2025 Appropriation Bill 2024, Lilo said past audits presented to the Auditor General were not up to standard. He said this reflects the need to have qualified accountants within the government ministries.
You see, most audits below Yumilo past year has always been hampered by the fact that the quality below accounts put to the Auditor General have not up to that standard. So you need to come to that level more, that the requirement for YUMI for the financial controllers and accountants below YUMI, let's make them to be members of IACI. Qualification below them must be higher. Just listening to IMF, it seems that one of the requirements that YUMI really need for BPMAP to really see how we manage now financial, public finance and fiscal resource below country here. Qualified accountants, I think we need to put him at every ministry here. Accountants that are CPE now, properly trained, and they can produce accounts, consolidated accounts for auditors, so that we don't have any problem asking all these questions. We can look at, the appropriateness and the focus and the value, other areas of fiscal management come to the attention of PAC. Every year PAC come, how na finger or how na this one year.
Meanwhile, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Public Service, Luke Cheka, said they are working on recruiting and developing qualified accountants for the ministry.
Like within the service, this like the service, I'm quite challenging to find that even though that caliber of people, and it's been a challenge to me as well when trying to try for posting. Or the FCs or the ministries, you'll find that once that person is gone, you try to find him more within the service. It's quite difficult. So actually, within the public service now, we are now getting, as of next month, the first lot of graduate training for coming, graduate accountants. So we'll try for building a skill block. We're taking, like every time we take a management, other areas, but now we're taking people the accountants background. So once we train them, they could be assets for us in the future. Yeah? We train them and we give them also the qualifications. Actually, we're also funding the accountants law ministry. We're also funding some of the courses as well, which is provided by outsiders. Yeah? So through the Ministry of Public Service, we provide training for look at areas where now they need training. So we are trying to beef that accounting caliber of people women like him, which is lacking within the service. Because once money can work a little bit normal, second we want to put him going on. So you for retaining patient quite difficult. The same issue happen in AG's office too in terms of keeping those people there. So we are working with him in terms of how to retaining more people there within the service.
For Sibc TV, I'm Eliza Kukutu.
The Solomon Islands Tertiary Education and Skills Authority, SITESA, has confirmed that a total of 1,038 government scholarships will be available for the 2024 to 2025 academic year. Alex Dadamu reports.
The Solomon Islands Tertiary Education and Skills Authority has confirmed that a total of 138 government scholarships will be available for the 2024 to 2025 academic year. Chief Executive Officer of SITESA, Constance Nasi, told the Public Accounts Committee that this represents an increase of 38 new scholarships compared to previous years. She said the number of scholarships allocated for each constituency remains at 4 scholarships each.
For next year, the total number have increased by 38 number, so from 1,000 1,038. The number for the constituency still same, still 4 per constituency category, and the director is here as well, and the team are progressing very well assessment blog at the applications. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Director of the National Scholarship Division in Saitesa, John Paul Iromea, also confirmed that a tentative list of selected candidates is expected to be released at the end of December.
In fact, it's a tiring and also challenging role in terms of scholarship, as most of you understand it for so long. Now, the proposed, and also it's not exactly something that we will expect it to happen at the right time due to some other circumstances that are beyond our control. But we have a timeline, and by end of this month, December, we should come up with a tentative list of selected candidates.
Alex Tadamu for Sibc TV.
Auditor General David Dennis has highlighted his office's lack of autonomy from the Ministry of Finance and Treasury. Appearing before the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, Dennis said that with regard to its finance, his office is subjected to the decisions of the Finance Ministry, both in terms of allocation and the setting of controls. He added that these controls are what prevent his office from fulfilling its mandated duties.
We do struggle with the lack of autonomy. So, Chairman, what that means is that law side, law finance, we are basically beholden to what the Ministry of Finance and Treasury both give us, and then on an ongoing basis, how they will then set the controls. Those controls, I am on record, both through my annual report and in a recent audit, that have prevented me from completing my mandate, which is my audit. So they do impact my ability to be able to undertake audits, especially outside of Honiara. So I am seeing that.
Public buses and taxis in Honiara went on strike to protest against the new regulation enforced by Honiara City Council, HCC, to remove tints from public vehicles. This has raised concerns from public transport users in Honiara City. Alex Tadamu reports.
Over 100 public vehicle owners, including bus and taxi operators, gathered yesterday at the Losentama area in Honiara to protest a new regulation enforced by the Honiara City Council, HCC. The new regulation, which mandates the removal of tinted windows from public vehicles, has been met with strong opposition from vehicle owners and public transport fleets across the city. The regulation aims to ensure public safety, improve emergency response, and ensure transparency in public transport operations. Honiara City Lord Mayor Eddie Siapu confirmed to Sibc TV that the council has issued a grace period for vehicle operators, allowing them until December 1st to voluntarily remove the tint without facing penalties. Siapu also adds that HCC law enforcement officers began enforcing the ordinance on Monday, December 2nd.
Grace period, I'm number one. What happened now, making grace period awareness for public, for our and those who are out here and talk and all come forward and help remove more team flow of public vehicles. Yeah, have happened come and like number 2 December date where we put for implementation of this for ordinance. And workers should start now, operations should start now for removal of teams and out from vehicles. Yeah. We just supposed to arrest them, those who are still putting on team load vehicles blocked. Also arrest them and proceed with them. Charges also go to court, magistrate court.
Meanwhile, public transport commuters have also shared their views on the issue. Elizabeth Sam called on both the HCC and the police to resolve the issue.
Itinota bigman lo comment tan cancel waiting bullies o ta bullies itinota talk about him ko kita mege bota tinsia ko straight ba because I'm no good to mas for you me come drop lo middle of them no ma.
The same sentiment was shared by John Kiri Mauma, who also called on authorities to resolve the issue.
Lo thinking from Michelle also me like this problem and solve ya. Because me problem kasi me follow kata passengers where me follow should go along the buses here, but me fall drop off no more on the way. Lo thinking from also me like what the leaders blame me lo Honiara City Council or masuk to solve problem then ya.
SIBC News understands that transport operators are demanding that HCC allow them to keep the tinted windows, arguing that the tint is necessary for passenger comfort and protection against the harsh sun. Alex Dadamu for SIBC TV.
The People's Republic of China has donated sporting equipment to the Solomon Islands Football Federation at the Chinese Embassy in Honiara on Monday. Mary Manilegua attended the event and files the story.
The Chinese Embassy in Honiara donated sporting materials to the Solomon Islands Football Federation, SIF, on Monday. The materials donated were to help SIF in its preparations for the upcoming 2024 MSG Prime Minister's Cup. It includes 550 football jerseys, 116 footballs, and 14 football training kits. Speaking at the handover event, Chinese Ambassador His Excellency Kai Wei-ming says they hope the donation can support SIF in hosting the tournament.
We hope those resources will help you to host Melanesian Spearhead Group Prime Minister's Cup and wish the game a full success and Team Solomon Islands best performance. Football is Solomon Islands' popular sport. Since the first day I arrived in Honiara more than 2 years ago, I have fully felt Solomon Islands people's love and passion for this sport.
Meanwhile, SIF President Donald Marahare thanked the Chinese Embassy for the donation.
From the football community, on behalf of the Federation, together with the football community and football stakeholders, we've really valued the support, and particularly through the donation in terms of equipment and sport. Although we do not have the opportunity to actually see, but we understand that the donation is a big assistance coming from the embassy. We believe this is the beginning of a relationship between the Chinese government through the embassy as well as the Football Federation.
Mary Manilegua, Sibc TV.
And now let's join Crofton Utakana for the latest in sports.
The King of Rugby Sevens, Waisale Serevi, conducted an inspiring training session for young players at the town-ground rugby stadium in Honiara on Monday this week. Special thanks to Usotasi Rugby Club and Oceania Rugby for organizing this valuable session for the aspiring rugby stars. Serevi told SIBC Sports that while in the Solomon Islands as chief guest for the upcoming Oceania Rugby Sevens, hosting a training session for the country's future rugby players has been a highlight of his visit.
Yes, I'm just happy. All these last maybe 15 years I've been I played, and then last 15 years I've been giving back to rugby. And to come out and be part of the Oceania, not only to be the chief guest and go and sit down at the main stadium with a tie and everything. I think the best thing is to use the time properly. While I'm still here, to have the opportunity to coach the young kids today, some of the young kids, I know it's a last minute thing, but to have the opportunity to share some rugby knowledge to the kids, I'm so proud and I'm so happy. that I made the training session today. Even though not a lot of people, but I'm just happy that a couple of players here wanted to learn and they came out. And I believe they learn a lot of things. You have to lean forward, you understand? You have to lean forward. There, come. There. Then you tackle. Yeah, I think the thing I asked them if they can write it down. All the words that, the keywords that I'm using, so it's much easier for them. Example, the catch, the look, the pass. It's always important. Holding your depth, don't lead the player, running towards the ball. Those are the key things that I thought it helped me when I was playing rugby. I did that and it really helped me. So I asked them if they can go home and write it down, and I asked them, did you learn a lot of things this morning? They said yes, they learn a lot of things, which is like the most important thing. As soon as they learn new stuff, it's a bonus for them, it's a bonus for their clubs, it's a bonus for their family, it's a bonus for Solomon Islands, because the kids they are the future rugby players.
One of the participants, Kieran Tengemwana, expressed his excitement about being part of the group of kids who had the opportunity to train under Serevi's expert guidance.
Lot training me for them today, para help me for. As we continue for them, I think I'm good for Solomon Island rugby. Lo future time.
What na embly lo future lo side lo rugby?
For become of Serevi lo one time.
Usotasi Rugby Club official Calvin Tengemwana also extended his thanks to Serevi for facilitating the training, providing the kids with a unique opportunity to learn more from one of the sport's greatest icons.
On behalf of the Picanini Lohia, we want to thank you and hope in the future you're going to help them to do further trainings in USA, in our academy or in Fiji.
Yes.
And that's our aim. That's the reason we bring you in here, to inject something new in rugby skills with what we learned from you today. So on behalf of the children here, the Picanini, I'd like to thank you, Tomas, and Vinaka Vakalebu to you.
Vinaka. Thank you so much.
And that was your sports updates. Crofton Otukana, Sibc TV.
And that's news. Follow us on sibconline.com.sb and our SIBC News Facebook page for more of our latest stories. Thanks for watching.